up, and welcome back to the Something's Brewing podcast, episode 43.
43.
The Danton Heinen and Bob Beers episode.
Wait, you're missing one more.
Who?
Come on.
Oh, Matt Bartkowski?
Yeah, the legend.
I will never forget Game 7, 2013, Toronto Maple Leafs. Matt Bartkowski opens up the scoring with a fucking nuke from the blue line.
Didn't he go like 1,000 regular season games without a goal?
Probably.
I just remember him because he would never score in the regular season, but every now and then he'd get one in the playoffs. I actually want to go look at that.
Mel, he played, before you look, he played 256 career games. How many goals do you think he had?
256 career regular season games?
No, just in general. Total.
Not even kidding. I'm going to guess 3.
He had 8 goals, 40 assists, 48 points. He was a minus 12. I want to see if I can find his post.
Hey, great locker room guy, though.
Great locker room guy. I mean, it speaks to the fact that everybody knows
He played. Well, okay. He was on the Bruins, the NHL, the Boston Bruins roster for 5 seasons. Although his first 2 stints with the team, he played 6 games in 2010, 2011, and 3 games in 2011, 2012.
Stanley Cup champion, Matt Bartkowski.
That's right. So looking at this, let's see. That's about 100. He's played about 120 games as a Boston Bruin. Regular season games. Guess how many goals he scored with the Boston Bruins in those roughly 120 games?
2.
0. He did not score 1 regular season goal with the. He didn't score a goal in the NHL until when he went to Calgary.
What a legend.
He made his NHL debut in 2010, and he didn't pick up his first goal until 2016.
Dude, how did he maintain an NHL career? Like,
holy shit! He has 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2. Dude, he is. Oh no, I looked down too far. He scored 6 with Vancouver, but he still never scored with the Bruins. Yeah, he has 8 regular season goals.
Jesus Christ! Well, he popped off in Vancouver,
he played from 2010 to 2020. It's over 10 years in the league.
No, that's
scored
insane.
8 goals,
and he was a career minus 12. What?
What is he doing out there?
I don't know. But hey, welcome back to the show. This is episode 43. As always, brought to you in partnership with the Black and Gold Productions LLC. You can follow them on Twitter at BNG Productions. You can follow our Twitter account at Brewin Something, no G at the end. By the way, you can subscribe to our YouTube. It's at Something's Brewin. We had a little bit of an issue with the upload of the video last week. For some reason, it wouldn't upload to either the computer or YouTube. So episode 42 is missing, but this one will hopefully be up. But yeah, off-season woes continue. Florida, we finally have a Stanley Cup matchup. It's Florida-Vegas. That is going to be an insane series.
Yeah,
going to be nuts.
For like 80% of the Bruins fans, this is like absolute. Like, I feel like they would prefer just an asteroid hurtling towards planet Earth. I think they would take that over having to watch a Stanley Cup matchup between Bruce Cassidy's Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers. For me, I love it. I think it's gonna make for some great hockey, and I've said it enough times now. I'm all aboard the Florida Panthers wagon. But I will say, I'm kind of getting aggravated by Vegas because their social media is kind of annoying me. Do you see all the stuff they're doing on Twitter?
Yeah. I mean, it is annoying, but I feel like that's just kind of like the new wave, especially with the new teams trying to like get fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of teams, if you think about it, social media is huge in terms of like interactions and just kind of blowing up Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. If they're more creative and they're more out there, it's probably going to get shared more, and then more people are going to be exposed to their team. But I understand what you're saying, because it's like, it's weird.
Yeah, no, and it definitely is. I think we're at a point now where it's if your team doesn't kind of have that, quirky millennial ripping jokes as the Twitter admin, then you stick out, I think, a little more than teams that do. But for Vegas, I mean, they're kind of just conjuring up rivals now just because of their their social media presence. Like when
Yes.
they were tweeting about Dallas, and they spelled Dallas with like 3 or 4 L's, whatever the hell it was.
See, but that's kind of funny. That's
No,
kind of
that
funny.
one was pretty funny, but
Yeah.
it's just interesting. It's kind of the new wave of this social media presence for sports teams, and even like the Boston Bruins, their social media presence has been so boring forever.
Mhm.
And now, like it's refreshing. They have a bit of a personality. I don't know who their social media admin is, but the one who she creates a ton of videos on TikTok specifically with all of the players, which is like it's so much. It was in a season that was really fun because we were watching the team win. It was also really fun to see their personalities expressed that way on social media.
Well, it's funny too because Vegas had another one because obviously when there was this big beef with the
Oh, with San
San Jose
Jose?
Sharks,
Yeah.
it was the clown one with the
Yeah.
like it progressively gets more like a clown, and they tag the Sharks. It goes miss the playoffs. He's painting on the white face. Lose the draft lottery. You start seeing the clown paint come on. Jump on Stars bandwagon. The clown afro is on, and then watch Vegas advance to Stanley Cup final, and it's just the whole clown face.
Yeah.
And like it's funny. It is funny.
No, honestly, I love that. I think it's fun, but like what San Jose, like what are you doing? Like they were like talking about change. I don't know if they did. I know they were tweeting about changing their profile picture to that of a like cartoon shark with a Dallas star. And I like I feel like I'm sounding like an old man screaming at clowns, screaming at clowns, because it's all in good fun. But like imagine if like I don't know, if the Bruins sucked and they had like they couldn't even tank properly and suddenly they were like supporting the Carolina Hurricanes and like tweeting about it. Like it's I don't know. I would if I was a San Jose Shark fan, I would be like, this is I mean, they only have like 5 of them anyways, but still for the real diehards, I'd be like, I don't know about this.
That's the other thing too. I feel like the fan bases are different. Like the Bruins fan base is original 6. They're diehards. They understand the game to a certain level that maybe a lot of Sharks fans don't necessarily understand. But they, in their perspective, they need to grow and they need to get that fan base bigger. But if you're the Bruins admin, there's a giant Bruins fan base that knows hockey, and they know the reaction that the fans will have if, say, like all of a sudden the Bruins in this season, how they got eliminated in the first round, if they were all of a sudden supporting like I don't know the Rangers or something like that. Ugh. All their mentions would be like, stop, like what are you doing? Like, this is not okay.
There would be mutiny.
Yeah.
I do want to get
by the way, the Bruins social coordinator is Elaine Cavalieri. You can sauce her a follow.
I think I follow her.
Yeah, at Elaine_Cav. So I actually got the pleasure to meet her at Bruins development camp last year, and she's really awesome person and a great person to be driving that social content for the team. So
yeah, if you meet her again, tell her she's doing a great job. I was gonna say too, speaking of great social media jobs, the people who have been making the graphics for the Florida Panthers and when Carolina was still in it, it was almost like, obviously it was a battle on the ice, but it was a battle between graphic designers too. Some of the graphics that they were putting out were so cool.
Yes.
And the guy who's, I don't know if he's their social media admin or he's at least the graphic designer for the Hurricanes. Obviously they got swept. He didn't get to use all of their graphics. So he ended up posting the graphics that were unused, and those were even cooler than the ones that they did use. I know they had one if they were to win a game 7 that was like a stormy sea, and then there was like a cat collar that was like sinking into the ocean, and it was like, here kitty kitty or something like that.
Yes.
And it was like, oh my god, this is, and then like I know the guys from Only Bruins, so they were tweeting about the designs they were making for the Dallas Stars. It was pretty cool. Everybody's stepping up their social media game in this day and age.
Dude, it's awesome.
As an excessive Twitter user, I love seeing it. It's a lot of fun.
And it's awesome being a part of it too, like personally knowing these guys. But
wait, before that, did you see what Bruce Cassidy said too? That subtle shot he threw
at Arizona. Dude, and then he was like, oh, what did he say? He was like,
no disrespect, but
he's like, I don't think we would beat the Arizona Coyotes with that many turnovers.
Yeah,
no disrespect to Arizona.
Like no disrespect, but like your team is dog water. You don't even have a home rink. You got no fans. But I mean that respectfully. Like oh my god, mean, catch his strays.
He probably just like said that out loud, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I need to like cover this up."
I guarantee you, though, if the cameraman, if it was on camera, if he turned around and got a wide shot of every single person in the room, I guarantee every reporter was nodding their head, going, well, I mean, yeah, you're not
Yeah,
wrong. You
you
didn't
can't
have to
just
say it.
yeah. Yeah. What's his name?
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith clip. Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, even like the oh man, like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Leonardo DiCaprio meme when he's pointing at the TV, even all the
Yeah,
Arizona Coyotes players probably like, hey, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you can't really say much to rebuttal that. He's not wrong.
Well, it's like that whole saga when it was announced that Arizona wasn't going to get their Arizona didn't get their rink approved in Tempe, I think it was, and
Mhm.
then immediately Clayton Keller's dad was like, "Yeah, no, Keller's not coming back."
Yeah, he's getting out of there.
But
That's
then
that whole
a day later, Keller's dad was like, "I got hacked." Like, I'm
yeah.
sorry, no one's
That's
hacking Clayton Keller's dad's
of every
Twitter.
account, and even if they do, that's the last thing that they're tweeting is, "Oh,
Right.
Clayton Keller is out of here just because we couldn't get this rank in Tempe or whatever the hell it was." Um,
Yeah.
it's funny though because I was seeing some people who are more on the business side of the know, especially in
Yeah.
Arizona, saying that when it came to building that stadium, the rink in Tempe, they didn't have to do a vote. They could have just done it. Like they had enough. They had the whether it be the financial backing or they had enough people in the local government to go ahead with the plans. But they just thought, "Oh, we'll do this and get the fan recognition. And maybe they thought that it would help garner support. Although it seems like everybody's saying they already had it. So they basically had this vote for the right to build this rink in Tempe that they did not have to do in the first place. They could have broke ground and it would have made no difference, but they held the
Right.
vote anyways. It was voted down, and now they're like, shit, man. Like
Dude,
they thought they were
they're
going to use it to help like build their case, but they already had a case that was bought and sold. Like you didn't have to do that, which is why
right.
it makes it even funnier. That franchise can't do anything right.
Dude, and then you see their Twitter admin just
Oh yeah.
dude, they're just blowing themselves up.
Scorched
Like,
earth, like what? Yeah,
dude,
like the memes, and it was like, 20,000 likes, and we'll tweet where we're gonna build our next stadium or
yeah.
something like
Yeah.
like that whole fiasco is one of the most. It's probably the most embarrassing thing to ever happen in that franchise. That's had a lot of embarrassing moments, and that and to react like that on Twitter, like they were like, "Oh, like vote below where you want our next stadium to be," and all four options were Arizona. Like it was so funny. I want to see what happens to them though if they go to Houston or if Atlanta gets a team again, or screw it, let's go up to Quebec City. I don't know. Maybe they'll stay in Arizona, but they could have been building a rink in Tempe if they didn't want to get cute with it and hold a vote for no reason.
Yeah, like I'm going through some of their tweets right now. Pack, if this tweet gets 25,000 likes, we will reveal who our new admin is. 8,000 likes.
I bet you it's Paul Bissonnette. He's the one
dude,
he's the
100%,
admin.
100%. Dude, this one hashtag Yotes forever. 948 likes.
God, dude.
There was another one I just scrolled by. Should the Coyotes relocate? It's a poll. It's the two responses are no and no, and it was like 50-50.
I mean, things already can't get any worse for Arizona in terms of the on ice product, but to Clayton Keller's dad's credit, I mean, if you're in Arizona, why would you want to resign there if you don't even know where you're going to be playing? And if you're a free agent, why would you want to go to Arizona if you don't even know where you're going to be playing?
Mel, they put out a tweet. It's their pinned tweet on their social media right now. It says the wait is over. Click the link below, and the link is in all caps. New arena plans. You click on it, and you get rickrolled.
Rick Astley. I remember seeing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they literally they set up a whole fake website just for that one gag on Twitter.
Like what? What is happening with that? Or do you think that they know that it's over and they're getting moved, so they're just throwing everything out there, like everything?
I honestly don't know because it's their social media strategy right now is extremely bold, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before.
No.
But like I really don't. I've been trying to think of what the angle could be. I mean, yeah, you could. The biggest thing for Arizona right now is they don't have a place to play. Like they need to establish what their city's going to be, and so many things unfold after that, from branding to new uniforms to relocating everything. Which is why, like, if you were to think of like, what's the goal of this whole Twitter thing? for engagements. I mean, is that really the biggest? Is that your biggest worry right now? Shouldn't you be thinking about if you're going to have a job
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
forward? And then it was funny after the whole like 20,000 likes and we'll tweet our stadium plans tweet. The next day, they had an opening online for a new social media manager
Yeah, I saw that.
for the Coyotes.
I saw that.
Oh my god. And at least I know I was kind of whining about Vegas earlier. At least Vegas isn't doing it to that, because if I was in
Right.
Arizona, if I was a fan of the Coyotes, I mean, I guess, you've watched the on ice play of your team for the last, let's call it 20 years. I mean, I don't really think there's anything that your social media admin can do that will make you more embarrassed to be affiliated with the Arizona Coyotes. But I don't know. If I was a fan, I would be I don't know if I would be supporting that social media campaign.
It's interesting because I think ever since Vegas came into the league, right? You've seen more almost character from teams themselves, not just Vegas, but more character, more social media interactions, more engagement with fans on social media. And by the way, I will say this, I respect what Vegas does because them alone brings a lot of eyes to the NHL. Whether it's that little like pregame show with the night guy who's like skating around the ice, making it like a show almost, pumping up the crowd. They got the on ice projections. They've got the Golden Nighthead. They've got those like drummers with the light beam glasses. Like it's cool. Like it's like a new era and a new age of team culture almost. And I think they're kind of steamrolling and they're like leading the charge of other teams who are maybe struggling to gain traction with a fan base and stick out as a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely refreshing because I feel like a lot of these teams, like you mentioned earlier, are kind of handcuffed to their history, right?
Right.
Like the Bruins, the Maple Leafs, the Canadians, these original six teams, they can't be like tweeting and posting shit like the way that Seattle might be, or that Vegas has, or that San Jose is doing now. But
Right.
like this team, like the Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, they came into the NHL, like they have the entertainment. They're gonna have the fans. I mean,
Oh
people
yeah.
flock to that stadium, not even just to watch the Vegas Golden Knights play, but because they do have fans, but just because it's something fun to do in Vegas.
Right.
And I think that they're
There's not enough fun things to do in
yeah,
Vegas
no,
too, right?
exactly. And I think that their social media presence like so perfectly exemplifies the feeling around that team and the
Yeah.
energy that team break. I firmly believe that Vegas could suck. They could be one of the worst teams in the league, and they would probably still sell at that stadium every single night just because it's in the heart of Las Vegas and
Yeah.
it's something to do. And I don't know, like especially like Montreal, like I feel bad for their social media admin because they have to tweet everything twice, once in English and once in French. And I,
True.
I know that must suck.
You think they get paid double just because of that?
They should. I wonder if they're bilingual or if they're using like Google Translate to translate everything. And I wonder why they would just do it on one account rather than having an English and a French account. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't work with Montreal.
Wait, so okay, so now I'm thinking about it. Say the Bruins were to adapt not social media, but in terms of fan experience and stuff like that actually at the Garden. What do you think that they could do that could kind of rival, maybe not rival what Vegas does, but kind of get into that similar scene, whether it's ice projections or whatnot? Because they don't really
They
do anything.
really they really don't do much. But
No.
again, like that's where it gets tough because it's the Bruins are one of those teams that you can say they're handcuffed by their history. Like you can't have drummers out there with glow in the dark
Right.
mustaches and
Right.
like flame shooting out of their skates because like this is, it's just not something you would expect to see from the Boston Bruins. So I think they would have to walk a fine line between having it be new and exciting while also respecting the culture and the organization and everything that's come before, because like Vegas, like they came in the league with a clean slate, man. They can do whatever
Right.
they want. Like this is their culture now that they just established, and that's they set the precedent of what they want their standards to be as an organization on the ice, off the ice, and in terms of creating an atmosphere. And it's doing fantastic, and that's going to be their whole identity moving forwards. And like the Bruins, like I feel like you can't just introduce that. Um,
Right.
because I feel like it would be exciting, but like, there's not just like new and young and fun fans around here. There's also a whole bunch of old heads too. And I know they would go into that stadium and they'd be like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, this isn't Ray Bork is rolling in his hockey grave if he were to see this shit.
I mean, just take a look at what some of the older Red Sox fans say about the LED lights for home runs. Like they were pissed about it, and it's
which is really cool, by the way.
It is cool.
Yeah, I don't know though what the Bruins could do. I mean, I think that they could definitely do like light shows.
Yeah,
or like 3D shit on the ice. Like that would be kind of cool.
That's what I'm thinking. And if you want to tie it in with, say, the history of the team, right? Like you don't want to, like you want to engage in this new era of fan experience at the game, right? You want to set yourself apart a little bit, and you want to make people, have a reason to continue to come back, whether it's with their kids or say you're in your mid-20s, whatever, and you're just looking to have a good time. But you get that extra little pop, and the Bruins could keep it tied with their history, where you have those, say, pregame on ice projections, but you have like old vintage tapes of like Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito or Chief, like, and you have like the black and white video just projecting on the ice, and it's all these cool little things, and then you have like their number retires, it's like projected into the circles or something. I don't know, but little things like that I think need to be done in the coming years to at least keep things to keep up with the time. Basically,
they should take a wild bear and just let him loose.
Absolutely.
Just see what happens. No, but I think that would be like for like the Bruins playoff games. I don't know if they do this for every regular season game, but usually before a Bruins playoff game, they'll have some sort of hype video playing on the big screen. If they could project that onto the ice and have it be interactive, I think Vegas is the one who does it, where like they're the circles around the face-off dots, like all of a sudden they'll look like a ring of fire.
Yes.
And it'll like they have like pyrotechnics and like light animations that react with the ice that almost make it look like it's real. I know the NBA did it where they would have this thing that would make it look like the NBA, like the parquet floor is collapsing.
Yeah.
And like if you're in the nosebleeds in the 300s, it looks really cool. I'm sure if you're up pretty close, you're like, hey, those are just lights on the floor. But like if the Bruins could do something like that and they could kind of tie it in with the city, I'm sure you could do like a Boston landscape in the background or something. And like you said, with the numbers, or you could even have like the faces, like imagine like you're at the Bruins game, they're playing Toronto, like it's game 80, the division title is on the line, and you're watching this hype video, and like and all the face-off dots, like Ray Bork's face is in one and it disappears, and boom, there's Bergeron's face, and over here there's Star's face and disappears, and there's Milt Schmidt's face, and then it ends in like the center ice, and there's like Bobby Orr or some shit or however it is, and then like you could have like this whole like light show thing, and that's like new and trendy, and it would be a way to engage fans, but at the same time you're also like honoring your history, and you're not just pivoting and just going to this new age thing. I think they could do something like that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, like what you just said, like that's kind of exactly what I was picturing. Like you keep it tied in with the history, right? Because you're not gonna be Vegas and you're not gonna start something brand new. You already have an established history. You already have great generational players and legends that have played for your team and won Stanley Cups in this city. So you got to utilize that to your advantage and play with it. And then, like you said, like the pregame, like you have their faces or their numbers and they're projected on the ice and the music's loud and the whole arena's dark and that's all you can see. And then, like you said, like say it all goes black and then it's just one projected light on like the B or something and you hear like a big bear roar. And and then the music goes and the team comes out and the garden's hyped.
Man, I'm getting off. And then they could even do like a whole row gets like a free year of Dunkin' Donuts coffee or something. And now the place going. It's much better than that stupid little blimp that flies around and drops pieces of paper all over everybody.
Right. Like I feel like just as a fan myself and someone who goes to a decent amount of games, that would keep me coming back. And maybe make spending $120 on a ticket every couple of months a little more worth it and a little more worth my while too, and just make that home ice advantage that much better.
Oh yeah, I mean that will get people going before the puck even drops. Not that they need to
Right.
get going anymore, but like, and again, not like the Bruins have any problem around here growing the fan base, or it's not like they
Right.
have any
Right.
trouble not selling out every game. But like, I don't know, like think about like a young kid, like knowing, oh, like I want to go to the Bruin. You can go to the Bruins game, you can go to the Celtics game. The Red Sox start in April. Which one? You can only get tickets to one. Well, only one of them has this cool. If I'm a kid, only one of them has this cool light show with loud music and all this
Yeah.
other shit. I don't know. I think that they should. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of teams. You're already seeing like a lot of West Coast teams are starting to do stuff like that, interactive stuff on the ice. Maybe it's because those are the newer teams in the league, but I think you're going to start seeing a lot more teams do more interactive stuff like that because I mean you got to help grow the game and help put some fannies in the seats. And if you can't play well on the ice, which hasn't been the Bruins' problem, at least you can try to sell some tickets. Give them a light show, damn it.
Yeah. Give them a late shot. I think it would be really cool. But damn, we went off on a tangent. That wasn't even planned. That was sick. I think it's a good idea. But there have been rumors lately. Obviously, Linus Olmark's name has been thrown around in trade rumors. There is a little bit of traction. I don't know how much weight you want to put into it, but I think it's worth talking about. Is Edmonton looking obviously for a goalie, and they apparently have taken a peek at Linus Olmark, and we're interested in Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Now, I'm pretty sure Nuge just had a career season in Edmonton, and you can,
Oh, yes, he absolutely did.
and I'm sure you can attribute some of that to Draisaitl and the McDavid factor, just playing with them. But natural center, he's 30 years old right now. Um, let's see. Yeah, this season he had 104 points, 37 goals, 67 assists. Career wise, 801 games played, 632 points. Would you entertain that? Would you want Nugent Hopkins over here?
Oh, I
Obvi-
would. No, you can go. What were you gonna say?
Obviously, it kind of depends on the futures of Bergeron and Krejci as well. I'm sure that's a factor, but you can go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would love Nugent Hopkins on the Bruins, but I mean, there are a couple things I think about. First of all, you kind of mentioned playing with Drysdale and McDavid definitely helps, but he's also playing in like arguably the worst division in all of hockey. Like
Yeah,
he had 37 goals and 104 points this year. Prior to this, his career high was 69 goals,
yeah.
and he's never scored over 28 goals in a season, which he's four times in his career. He's played 12 years, four times in his career, other than this year. He's been a 20 goal scorer. This year, he just randomly spazzed and had 37 goals and 104 points. Much like I don't see Linus Olmark having another season for the rest of his career like he did this year, I don't see Ryan Nugent Hopkins coming close to another 104 point, 37 goal season.
So, do you think both teams are just trying to kind of
Cat,
capitalize when both
yeah,
players' values
I
are at
th-
their highest?
I think so. Yeah, and I don't know off the top of my head what Edmonton's cap situation is like, but I know Ryan Nugent Hopkins is set to make just under $7 million next year. And I know if they were to ship him out, and maybe you could bring in a goalie like Linus Olmark, and then use the rest of whatever they have left to get another center. Or what was he? Was he playing wing for them? Or I don't know. He can play wing and center.
Wait,
Um,
the I'm looking at Cap Friendly right now, and it says his cap hit is 5.1.
I have next year Nuge is making, I think 5.1 is the average. Next year he has a 6.2. Oh yeah, you're looking at his cap hit. I see what you're saying. His
Yeah.
base salary next year though is 6.2. But yeah, he has a
Okay.
$5.1 million cap hit until his age 35 season, which is 28, 29. I mean, I just feel like if I personally I feel like the Bruins could get more than Ryan Nugent Hopkins for Linus Olmark. And thinking about what each of them can contribute to this team, well, I do think both of them will take a step back next year because I just think it's unrealistic to expect either of them to perform the way that they did this year again for the rest of their careers. I just think you would get more value from having Linus Olmark on this roster next year than you would having Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
a lot of that changes, though, like you said, if Bergeron and Krejci like leave and you have these huge gaping holes. But I mean, Nugent Hopkins definitely had the point production this year to be a first line center. But
mhm.
would you feel comfortable with a 30-year-old turning 31-year-old Ryan Nugent Hopkins as your $5 million first line center for the next 5 years?
I think maybe, but I'm starting to lean towards the feeling that David Krejci might not be coming back, and that might not be a bad thing. And I hate saying that, but you saw how he performed towards the end of the season. He really wasn't performing at all. He didn't do anything in the playoffs. Um, he was slowing down at the back half of the season. I don't know necessarily if bringing him back next year is the smartest move if you want to stay competitive. Because you got to think about it too. If you're going to go into playoffs again with what Bergeron's going to be 39 next year and Krejci just about the same, you really want them playing a full season and then another 2 months of hockey with their fatigue level probably matching what it was this season. I don't know if that's the smartest move. So if you can bring in Bergeron, yes, 100% on Bergeron. Krejci, I don't know. But if you can bring in Nugent-Hopkins and he can play second line, and then maybe you reunite Nugent-Hopkins and Hall together with Pasta on the right side, that might not be bad. And then you also have Zacha as well. So you have options, and obviously we're not going to know until the offseason moves start to happen. We're going to get a clearer picture. But I think if you bring him in as a second line center, then that's going to help you immensely.
Yeah,
I think he's an upgrade over Krejci.
I think he's definitely an upgrade over Krejci. But I mean, Nugent Hopkins does have his flaws as well. The guy can never stay
Right,
healthy.
right,
I mean,
right.
he's had a lot of trouble staying on the ice. He's only 3 times has he played a full 82 games. But I don't know. I mean, I just don't see him having the same level of production really anywhere close next year than what he did this year. And I'm not saying like he's never had a 70-point season his entire career. He just had 104 points.
Yep.
And you have to wonder how much of that is from playing with McDavid and Draisaitl, and how much of that is from playing in for the Edmonton Oilers in a season where the rest of their division sucked ass. I would love to have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on the Bruins. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just feel like there are other avenues you could explore if you're trading Linus Olmark prior to just saying, okay, we'll ship him out for Nugent Hopkins. I don't know. I know there are players on the free agent market this year who are. I mean, I know that's a bit of a gamble because if you trade Linus Olmark with the hopes you're going to use that money in free agency and they sign elsewhere, or then you look like an idiot. But I don't know. I think that it's two teams cashing in on their players while their value is at the highest it's ever going to be. And I think that sets up both teams to be pleasantly surprised next year when Olmark doesn't have a sub 2 goals against average and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins isn't a 100-point player.
Yeah. No, he exploded this season. I mean, what did you say? His previous career high was 69 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was like 4 or 5 seasons ago, I think.
Yeah. 2018, 2019, he had 69 points, 28
Yeah.
goals. And I mean,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like he's a great player, former first overall pick. He's when he plays, he's the kind of player who you know what you're gonna get. He's reliable. He's a playmaker. He's consistent. He's not without his warts. I'll say. He hasn't always been consistent in terms of point productions. He hasn't been consistent in terms of just staying healthy in the lineup. He isn't great defensively, but I don't know. I mean, if it's a risk you want to make, if you're worried that Krejci's going to leave and Bergeron might retire, and you're going to have holes in center, and that you can at least shore up one of those or have an idea of who can be your second line center for the next 4 years, because he's under contract until what did I say 2028. And if you think that that's worth giving Linus Olmark up for, then by all means do it. But I personally I feel like they could kick tires on other players on the league and potentially get more for a 29-year-old Linus Olmark than the 30-year-old Nugent Hopkins coming back the other way.
No, that's fair. So I also want to mention this. So, if you're betting out there, if you're planning on betting on the Stanley Cup Final, I strongly advise everybody to go to FanDuel.com/Boston to get your rewards, get your bonuses. Because right now the odds are actually in favor of Vegas. Florida maintains being the underdog. They're plus 115 right now. Or no, I'm sorry, that's just for game one. The series
I
Vegas
think
is
the
still
series
favored.
Vegas is still favored. Yeah,
Yeah, but not by as much.
that's exactly what Florida wants, though.
Right. Yeah, they want to play that underdog card. But yeah, so if you're planning on betting, definitely go to fanduel.com/Boston, get those bonuses, get those benefits, and hopefully make some money. Because if you're in my boat, you've stopped gambling because I have made no money.
Yeah,
I have made
I've
nothing.
lost a significantly more amount of money than I've won.
Dude, I went through like my bet history just the other night. There was a stretch that I had lost 18 bets in a row. And I
Well,
was like, oh my God.
I felt really good at myself because I was up a lot of money because between FanDuel, DraftKings, and the Barstool Sports book. And I
Mhm.
was like, wow, like I really know what I'm doing. Like I've made a ton of money. And then I kind of thought about like I've only made this money because it was the free like sign up and refer a friend and you get like $50. Like
Yeah.
those are the only bets I was hitting, the near guarantees. And I've literally pissed all that money away because I
No.
think I know what I'm doing now. So I would be like, oh, like dude, like plus 650 for like Jake DeBrusk to get a goal tonight, and I'll look and he hasn't played a game in 2 weeks. I'm like, ah, shit. Well, there's money lost. like stuff like that, you know. But no, I'm terrible at betting. But did you see? What do you think about the Florida Panthers touching the Prince of Wales trophy, and in Vegas deciding not to? Do you believe in that curse, that hex that everybody's talking about?
No, I don't believe that. I mean, god damn, Florida has done everything against the grain anyways this season,
I
and
know, right?
they just keep proving everybody wrong.
For a sport that's filled with superstitions, not Vegas, Florida is just telling everybody to stick it. They're gonna
Yeah.
touch the trophy. They're gonna do whatever they can. They're gonna go. They're gonna be the underdogs in every single series and just steamroll through everybody. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
respect it honestly.
I'm not gonna lie, I hate saying it. I like the Panthers team. They're so likable, dude.
No,
They're
I
so
know.
likable. Like Matt, how can you not root for Matt Kachuk? How can you not root for him?
I would, and that's why it pisses me off because I would love to see him and Austin Matthews play on the same line together in the Olympics, and
Yeah.
we're never going to be able to. This is the pinnacle of American hockey, and guys like Matt Kachuk and Austin Matthews can't wear the red, white, and blue. That's so stupid.
It is it's I didn't think of that. That does suck. But I mean, God, they just got a whole team filled with playoff type players. Gudis, Bennett, freaking what's his name? Reinhardt.
Oh yeah,
Barkov is disgusting.
they're a bunch of dogs, dude. Have you seen too? I'm very happy that ESPN is not showing any more hockey games for the rest of the year because their coverage sucks. But one
Yep.
thing I will miss is when they have those stupid animations that they play. Like they had they had one of when Florida they were like doing like a preview of like Florida playing Vegas or something, and it was like the jankiest cartoon of Makachuk like bending down and like putting a box on the ground and lifts it up and there's just like a bunch of rats running out of it into into like the Golden Knights break and it was like what?
Dude, I'm almost certain it was ESPN, but they posted a graphic today, and I'll give them credit. Everything was cool about it. It was Makachuk facing Aiden Hill, and he was wearing he had like a shield and a sword, whatever. And then they had an animal in the middle. Dude, it was a jaguar.
Yeah,
It,
no, I saw that.
it wasn't even a panther. It was like a
Everybody
leopard.
everybody was like, "This is like a cheetah. This isn't even a panther." And everybody was like,
Yeah.
"Man, respect to the admin for not taking that down." They also, I remember they were when Seattle was in the playoffs. They were talking about how, even though Seattle is a brand new team, they still have Stanley Cup pedigree, and they listed off like three play. They said, these three players on Seattle, they've all won a Stanley Cup, and everybody was like, "Well, they didn't even include Yanni Gord." On the graphic, there was like another 3 or 4 players on Seattle who have also won a Stanley Cup that they just like didn't mention at all, and it was like, oh my god. I know that this is the first. This is their first? Is this their first or their second year
No,
of
I think
ESPN?
I think it's their second year.
Oh my god. I mean, they've definitely had a whole bunch of growing pains, but hopefully they can learn from this and move on for next year because I am
Dude,
so happy that they don't have the Stanley Cup.
no, me too. Thank God TNT has it.
Mhm.
Because I
TNT does a
love
great
TNT.
job. Yeah.
TNT is so good. But ESPN is like it's like they have a bunch of middle schoolers in TV prod running the program.
Yeah,
Like what you just said with Seattle. Like it's like do an
you
extra
can Google.
half
It's on
dude,
like look it up.
do an extra half hour of research. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's all you have to do.
What ESPN should do is they should throw all the money in the world at pulling Doc Emmerich out of retirement to see if he'll join the booth. That might be their only saving grace at this point because they've lost hockey fans.
Dude, get rid of PK Subban too.
Yeah.
I hate when he's in the intermission show or the pregame, whatever. It's like he's like trying to play a character. It's like stop.
I think he's trying too hard to be ESPN's response to Biz on TNT.
Yes,
Like I think
yes,
he's trying to be their version of that. And like I know that the city of Boston and the Bruins have had a long history with PK Subban. Obviously, he's been a thorn in our sides forever. I've genuinely always really liked PK. I loved him when he was in Nashville. I liked him when he was in New Jersey. He was a player that I loved to hate when he was in Montreal.
Yeah.
And like post retirement, I really like PK Subban. Like he was a good ambassador for the NHL. They used him in like a lot of marketing stuff because, I mean, let's face it, like half the guys in this league have the same amount of fun as a cardboard box. Like they just suck. And PK was one of the only players with a personality. And since he's gone national and he's gone on ESPN, he said a whole bunch of shit that is just like pretty far out of pocket. And he's just like kind of made a fool of him. Like it's just, I don't know. Like I feel like you can tell he's trying to overcompensate and trying to like portray a character, like you said. And it's just like, go back to the PK that you were before. Like stop playing this character up so much.
I will say he said one thing that genuinely made me laugh so goddamn hard. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, what is it?
So he has a phrase. It's like the team's gonna pack a lunch, right? Like, and that means to him that means the team's like, give some more effort, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think he was talking about, I want to say it was Carolina, and it was one of the games against the Panthers. I might be wrong on that, but the same sentiment is the same regardless. And they were getting crushed, and it was an intermission, and he goes, well, I mean, they're gonna have to pack a Lizzo-sized lunch in this next period, and I actually like died laughing. And it didn't stir up as much controversy as I thought it would, but that's the one time where I was like, okay, that was genuinely like actually really funny.
I don't remember if that was the one. I remember I was watching one of their coverages. It might have been that one. I don't remember. It might have been something else. But I just remember I was watching the game and like they were about to cut the commercial and he just kind of said something like so off color and out of pocket. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna see that on Twitter tonight. It was just like one of those things. I was like, oh, PK.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, thank God TNT's got the coverage. It's also I'm pretty sure this is the first time since 1994 that every game is going to be available on cable too. I think it's going to be on True TV, ABC, TNT. It's so anybody who wants to watch it, you have access to it.
Somebody must have been whispering something sweet in Gary Bettman's ear.
Yeah.
It's about damn time, dude. Think about all the games this year that could have been just like this. All of the national original six matchups, all of these big division battles that could have been nationally televised. We were talking earlier about how people in like Northern California were blacked out from watching a Seattle Kraken game, but you could watch it in Hawaii. How does that make sense? Like it's so ass backwards, but the only way you can grow the game is by letting people watch the game. So I'm happy that they're putting the Stanley Cup Finals on cable.
Yeah. So on Twitter earlier, we asked for your guys' questions to incorporate into the show, and we got a couple. So I'm going to go through some right now. This comes in from Michelle Mongen. I'm sorry if I got your last name wrong, but that's how my brain pronounced it. You can follow her on Twitter at MONGE3328. She has 3 questions. First question. If Ullmark is the goalie that goes, does Bussy get the nod to come up and skate with the team, or do they get another goalie?
I feel like Bussy would come up because they're not trading Ullmark because he sucks. They're trading because they need cap space. You can call Bussy up for what, less than under $1 million a year, and he's a relatively pretty good goalie. I mean, I know they're really high on him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would make the most sense. And then you would use that $5 million cap hit that Ullmark has and go get yourself a second line center or try to fill out the rest of this roster or re-sign somebody who's going to leave. I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night on the What's Brewing live show with Nosek and Mark. And It makes sense. Only thing that worries me is how many games would you want Bussy to play? He's got no experience. Like, are you ready for Swayman to put in like 50 to 60 games?
Yeah, no, I think I'm ready for Swayman to put in 50 to 60 games. I would just worry if Swayman got hurt or something, which he has in the past, right? He was out for like a month last year, and suddenly you're like, oh shit, we got to turn to this rookie Brandon Bussy for an extended amount of time. Then I would be worried. So I guess maybe signing a veteran backup wouldn't be the worst idea, but
Yeah,
I mean, I think you would really have to be careful as to how much money you would give a player who would do that because the reason you're trading Linus Olmark is strictly for cap purposes in the first place.
right. I think for me personally, I think I would rather go get a veteran backup, literally for minimal. Like you don't need like a superstar backup, but I think you need a guy with a little bit of experience who wouldn't almost a guy who would be okay with a two-way deal, right? Who would play maybe 10 to 15 games for you. Same thing with Bussy. You can kind of back and forth them a little bit, send them up, send them down, 10 to 15 games split between the two backups, and then Swayman takes the rest. And like you said, if Swayman gets hurt, then at least you know this guy has, at least in the past, been able to take on.
Yeah, you can kind of stay afloat for a little bit.
Yeah, until he's back and healthy. And if
You
he's
know,
hurt for a long time, you're kind of screwed regardless. So
yeah, you've kind of talked me into it. I mean, before I would have just called up Bussy, but I like the idea of if you trade Olmark, get a veteran back there. Because even
yeah,
like I know Swayman's been around for a little bit now. He's got what 100 starts or 85 starts between the last two seasons or whatever the hell it
yeah,
is. But I mean, he's
just
still
about.
24, 25. I mean, he's a young goalie. I mean, he's never had to experience the weight of being a true number one, getting 16 odds a season. So I think
Right.
that would be a good idea of bringing in a veteran backup should Omar get traded.
Yeah. So Michelle's second question, she says, "Do you see the team dealing a big name player with a big contract in a trade?" So, AKA, I guess players on the roster fitting that description. Taylor Hall's probably not going anywhere because he's got a no movement. So I guess maybe you're looking at
Mike
Omar,
Riley?
Omar. I'd consider Forbert, Grizzlick,
I would
maybe.
trade Forbert, but do you consider Forbert a big name player?
Right. That's why I was kind of wishy washy on it.
Yeah, yeah.
What about Marshawn?
I know I know Chris Nosek has been kind of banging the drums on why it would make sense to trade Brad Marchand. And I hear him and I think that, it, if you hired a fan of any other team in the NHL to come in here and be the GM, I feel like they would be able to rationalize the concept of trading Brad Marchand. But I think as Bruins fans, myself included, it is so hard to look at this from an objective point of view and say,
Yeah.
yes, I will trade Brad Marchand because that would be like crippling to my happiness. Brad Marchand was skating around another team's sweater. But from the standpoint of the future and in the success of this roster moving forward, not even just from on the ice, but from like can we put together a good enough team to win games with the cap situation we have, I think it might make sense to trade Brad Marchand. And that kills me to say.
The thing is, too, if we're really trying to rationalize it, you get Omar's 5 mil off the books. You get Marshawn's 6 mil off the books. That opens up enough money to re-sign Bertuzzi.
That opens up
Um,
enough money to go get yourself Austin Matthews.
and
And his
no,
whopping 0 goals in the second
but
round.
but yeah, you know what I mean though. Like
Yeah.
if and you're right, if you're on the outside looking in, it makes sense.
If you're on the Bruins though, if you're a guy like Charlie McAvoy and
Right.
and you see the Bruins ship Brad Marchand out of here, a guy who was part of that 2011 Stanley Cup team, who's been such a key part to the three Bruins Stanley Cup appearances, who's been uh, a, a a center of this organization of this city for the last 12 years, and you watch the Bruins ship him out of town. If you're McAvoy, would you be like, oh shit, maybe I'm a little hesitant of signing a second contract here for fear of being treated the same way?
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, too, I think they understand it's a business. Also, if if they do it the right way and they're able to set this team up for success in McAvoy's future years, and he sees and understands that as well, he might be a little more understanding, because I think he would well, I don't want to speak for him or drum up, conspiracies, but if he sees that the team is going to be successful for longer and set his career up for success a little bit better than if they had just let Marchand retire as a Bruin, right? And they get nothing in return, then I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird conversation, and I haven't really thought about it too much, but
Yeah.
but
Also,
it makes sense if you're just looking at it.
thinking too, like if you were to trade Brad Marchand, I feel like you can't just like say, hey, we're trading Marchand, highest bidder gets him. Like I feel
Right.
like you have to have enough respect for the player to be like, all right, Brad, where do you want to go? Like we'll
Yeah.
we'll
Oh,
send you where you want to go.
absolutely.
And because of that, I feel like depending on I feel like just having that mindset in the first place, right off the bat, is gonna immediately hinder the amount that you could get back in a trade should you open your doors and say, come on in and take them. And I think because of that, which is why it would hurt more, because then it would truly kind of just be shipping Brad Marchand out of here as a cap casualty. And
Yeah.
like after everything that he's done for the Bruins, for this team, to think that his tenure is going to end as a cap casualty would, like, as a fan, that would
Her.
suck.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, the rational side, I think, of both of us is saying it might make a little bit of sense.
Yeah. Rationally, it makes a little bit of sense. Do we want to see it? I think both of us are on the same page as a big heaping no, because it would be heartbreaking.
I will cry.
Um, yeah. Oh my! Imagine the video tribute he would get and how long of an ovation he would get on his.
It
In
would
his
be a
first game
feature film. It would be a 2-hour long video tribute. It would have to be at a matinee game, because if it was at like 7 p.m. puck drop, I mean, kids aren't going to bed until 3 a.m. because that game isn't starting until at least 9:30.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So let's see here. Her third question: do they pay Bertuzzi or Orlov to stay?
I think Bertuzzi.
I would lean towards Bertuzzi as well.
You and I think we're both end of the regular season. I think we were both like, you got to sign Orlov because of how well he played. But I think after watching the first round of the playoffs, not just what you got from Bertuzzi, but I think more importantly what you got from Orlov. I think we're both like, I think you might want to re-sign Bertuzzi before you start conversations with Orlov.
Yeah, I would say Orlov. I mean, I would say Bertuzzi as well. You saw how well he fit into this forward group. He fits Bruin style hockey too. He's kind of a little asshole out there.
And even if you trade Brad Marchand, I mean,
and I mean that in the most complimentary way too.
Yeah. He's a little bit of a dirtbag, and that's why we love him.
Yeah.
But if you trade Brad Marchand, I mean, you can at least know that you're not losing all of that grit and like douchebaggery, because you still have Tyler Bertuzzi on the roster.
Yeah, he could fit right in there. But
yeah.
So this next one comes in from Chris Fevens. You can follow him at Bruins Fever 1. He says, "When will the pain stop?" I think it's stopped. I'm gonna be honest. I think I've plateaued with my pain. I'm on to next season. I'm ready for next year.
I think I've already kind of processed it and pushed it down as far as I can. And I think part of that is because the NHL playoffs is just so freaking long. I mean, this was like over a month ago now that the Bruins lost. I mean, what season, man? I'm ready to start ready to start next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like when the season is really over, and like whether it be Florida or Vegas that wins the Stanley Cup, I think I might get hit with that second wave of like, damn, this sucks. But at least then you can also say, well, the season ended unfortunately for 31 of the 32 teams, or however many leagues are in the NHL now. But no, the pain. I hate to say it, but I hope you're ready for that second wave in about a week and a half.
I will say though, I think it's going to make next season more anticipated, because we're all going to be hockey starved. And then when hockey's finally back, we're all going to be ready. We're all going to be ready to go, get pumped up. And I think it's going to make next season, it gives next season a little more juice to it. You're on your revenge tour.
Well, especially too because this season was so hyped up as The Last Dance. And
Yeah.
you and I and a lot of other fans were having the whole Last Dance, I think for most of us, hinders entirely around this nucleus of like Bergeron, Krejci, and Marchand. And you can say Pasta too, even though Pasta's here for, decade plus. Let's freaking go, Don Sweeney. But
Yeah.
like thinking about like this team, like the conversation was always, if the Bruins win the Stanley Cup, does Bergeron come back? If the Bruins lose in a heartbreaker in the Stanley Cup, does Bergeron come back? It was never, if the Bruins get bounced in 7 in the first round, is this team going to come back next year? And I think because of the way that it ended, it kind of wiped this season as the last dance. And I think that's kind of pushed it to next season. So I think we're kind of all arming and priming and getting ready for this season potentially really being the last dance
I,
season with Bergeron, Krejci, and Marchand. And I think for that, I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, let's
yeah.
drop the puck and get the season started.
I was gonna say when you were saying that this was the prelude. The
Yeah,
real
it
last dance is next
it
year.
was it was the appetizer. It was the trailer for the documentary. This season is gonna be the first 10 minutes of next season's Stanley Cup winning DVD. And it sucks right now, but just think about next year when you pop that DVD into your DVD player, you record it on Nessun, or when you catch it on Netflix, whatever the hell it's gonna be on. Did your lights just go out?
My light, yeah, I gotta
Oh
fix it.
gosh. Just think that this season is going to be reduced to a 10-minute intro to the greatest video you've ever seen next year. So that's kind of what I'm getting by right now. But we'll see. If Bergeron and Krejci don't come back, then I'm back to not Krejci. If Bergeron doesn't come back, then I'm right back to rock bottom again.
Yeah. Let's see here. So we got one last question here. It wasn't really a question, it was more of a statement, and I do want to touch up on it. This comes from Mike. You can follow him on Twitter at Mike Downs4. He said fire Don Sweeney.
Why?
Thoughts? Yeah, I don't
know. I think we either talked about this last episode or the episode before. Honestly, I think we talked about like 4 episodes in a row now. But if you hear me and Sully defending Don Sweeney, then you know he did something right, because you and I would be on the front lines of fire this guy if he made even the slightest mistake this entire season. But the roster that he put together, 65 wins. Yes, they lost in the playoffs, but that's the exact same team that just had the greatest regular season of all time. You can't blame Don Sweeney for that. Maybe these next couple years, if he moves the wrong guy and he signs another Matt Bolesky or whatever it might be, then we can engage in the conversation of Don Sweeney sucks. But after what you just saw last year, and even the moves he's made leading up to this year to establish this year as the last dance, even though we just said 30 seconds ago that next season's the real last dance, there's no way that you can blame Don Sweeney for anything that happened this year.
No, I mean, we did our player, coaches, and front office report card episode last week, and he got an A+.
Yeah.
He's I think people I don't even have the words for people who still say this. I don't really understand. I feel like it's in the same grouping of people that say the Bruins never should have fired Bruce Cassidy, and they're harping on the fact that he's in the Cup final now. It's like a stupid, nonsensical argument. Why?
Yeah.
I have to say is why.
And I know we talked about that last episode, but I've seen so many people on Twitter talk about how like they just totally forgot about last year and about the trade requests and about the
Right.
retirements and about all of the postseason failures. And just because you watch Bruce Cassidy go to the Stanley Cup with the Vegas Golden Knights, suddenly they fire the wrong guy. Like, come on! Like, what do we all forget what's happened around here the last 6 years? Like, let's be real.
And by the way, we all know and understand, the rational ones, that Bruce Cassidy is not a bad coach. He's a very, very good NHL hockey coach. It just so happens that he was here for 6 years. The guys in the locker room kind of got sick of him, as it happens with every single coach in the league. As soon as you start the job, you have a timeline, and people are going to get sick of you. Like what? Like, do they expect him to be here until he retired? Like,
yeah. Then why isn't Claude Julien still coaching here?
Yeah, yeah. Is Claude?
He won the Stanley Cup.
Right.
It doesn't. You could be the greatest coach in your respective sport, but eventually your voice is going to get stale. And it happens to everybody. That's why, every single team in the league hasn't had the same coach since they joined the NHL. Like, coaches get fired, things happen. Like, I'm sure if Tampa has the same, if they lose in the first round and for the next 2 or 3 seasons, again, they're going to fire John Cooper, who's won, what is it, 3 cups, 2 cups, whatever the hell it is. I mean, it just happens. Your voice falls flat sometimes. It falls stale sometimes. And sometimes when you have new coaches come into a new locker room, it's an instant boost of whether it be chemistry, of morale, of whatever it might be. It's one of those things you can't really put a word to in sports. That's why this team from last year came back this year with Jim Montgomery and they had 65 wins. That's why the Vegas Golden Knights hired Bruce Cassidy and now they're back in the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, when Patrick Roy became the coach of the Colorado Avalanche, they sucked. He won the Jack Adams Award, and he was part of that of that culture-setting team that just won the Stanley Cup last year. Like, this happens all around the NHL.
The best part of Patrick Roy's coaching career is when he pushed the middle glass down on Bruce Boudreau.
Yeah. Patrick Roy just won a trophy, too. I don't know what league he's coaching in now, but his team just won the championship. So
yeah,
but clearly that also didn't hurt Colorado firing him because they just won the Stanley Cup last year. It's just it's part of the game. It's part of the sport. These things happen.
Yeah, it's just it's I think it's a dumb argument, but we're gonna get on to our last segment of the show right now, just for this episode. Since it's the off season, we kind of brainstormed a little fun segment that we can do on the show. So we have a spinning wheel right now with numbers 1 through 95. Those numbers being representing players who have worn those jerseys for the team. So whatever number it lands on, we're gonna do a little.
Whoa! You can share your screen on here.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, we figured it out.
So we're gonna do a little live spinning wheel. So whatever number it lands on, we'll highlight that player and we'll go on a little deep dive on his career and talk about him for a little bit. So let's see who we get here. You're still locked into this wheel.
This is so cool. This is the coolest thing I've ever done.
53. All right, so 53.
Was that Matt Hunwick?
I'll tell you in just 1 second. 53 is. Oh. Well, this is unfortunate for the first ever spinning wheel. The best player is Seth Griffith.
Oh shit! I forgot he even existed.
I remember specifically one time he scored 1 goal with the team. I think it was in 2015, maybe. It was like Bobby Orr-esque. It was one of the nastiest goals because I'll never forget. I was at the mall shopping for shoes, and they had the game on the TV. It was at Foot Locker in the mall, and they had the game on the TV. And me being me, I sat down and I just watched the game. And Seth Griffith scored this. He like cut to the net. He got tripped up, and he scored in the air, backhand past whoever. And I'm like one of 3 people in the store, and I'm like, oh, like, let's go! And these guys are all looking at me like, what is this kid's problem?
The only thing I remember about Seth Griffith is that he kind of had a funny looking face, which I think tells you all you need to know about him as a hockey player. I think he had like 6 career goals or something like that. I just looked at his numbers, but I don't really know what else you can say about the guy.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to respect the spinning wheel, I say we do another one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's see here.
Just their luck getting Seth Griffith with the first spin.
Yeah, like, what is this? All right, let's see. I'm going to share the screen again.
What number was Matt Hunwick?
Give me
48?
1 second. Spinning wheel.
Yeah, 48.
Did it pop up on the stream?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. All right. So here we go. We're gonna spin it. What's it gonna land on? What's it gonna land on?
Did you choose the colors of this spinning wheel?
No. So boring.
Oh, we were one away from Ray Bork.
All right, well, 78. Who, let's see here. Nobody in the Bruins history has won.
This is the worst segment we've ever done.
Honestly, it's kind of entertaining. Hey, third time is the charm, though. So
you and I have been you and I have been talking this morning about doing this segment. We were all excited about it. We saved it for the end of the show. First, we do all the work of putting it together. First spin, we get Seth Griffith. Second spin, the player doesn't exist.
We got Seth Griffith and a non-existent player. So hang on a sec. I gotta set it all up again.
You zoomed in on the. You can't even see anything.
I know. I'm fixing it right now. Hey, this is great radio right now. Use your imaginations, everybody. We're gonna get the spinning wheel back up on the screen right now. And if you're listening on Spotify, please just hang in, and you'll hear you'll hear the wheel go. All right. So now I gotta spin it. Even this is great. Okay.
You sound like an old guy, like learning how to use a computer on Zoom, trying to use a computer for the first time.
Let's see here.
Oh, number 8.
Number 8.
Okay. Cam Neely.
All right, Cam Neely. Here we go now. Cam Neely. We're not going to focus on his front office time. We'll go strictly player. I mean, obviously, number retired. He's one of the greatest Boston Bruins of all time. We got him 9th overall in 1983.
Vancouver did.
Yes. Sorry. He had 694 points in 726 games, 395 goals, 299 assists, all-time plus 83. Obviously one of the best power forwards of all time. I don't think that's even up for debate.
Oh, yeah. Even because he retired in 95, 96. I wasn't born until 98. So even he was my favorite player growing up. I loved Cam Neely. Even I remember, and I think a lot of the Cam Neely fanfare, or a lot more of it, came around too when Milan Lucic came around, because he couldn't hold Cam Neely's jockstrap, but he did everything that Cam Neely could do, just significantly worse. But it was almost like seeing a not a poor man's Cam Neely, but a modern day Cam Neely minus the goal scoring. And with stone hands. But Cam Neely, if it wasn't for his knees, I mean, who knows what he could have done. 50 goals in 49 games. Fantastic actor. Who can forget about Seabass?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, talk about a highway robbery. Bruins snagging him from Vancouver. Guy had his career high was 21 goals, came to the Bruins, boom, 36 goal season, followed up with 42 and then 37 goals. Then he hit 55, 51, 50 goals in 49 games. His number's hanging up there for a reason. Truly one of the greatest power forwards the game has ever seen, and fantastic actor. Dude, jury's still out on him as a front office dude.
Dude, in the 88-89 season with Boston, his age 23 season, third season with the team, he had 190 penalty minutes and he still managed to get 75 points, 3 goals away from 40. It's insane. I mean, if you're a younger listener right now and you've never really dove deep into Cam Neely highlights, I highly recommend you go to YouTube right now and just look at it. Some of them are in the old garden too.
Do you know who the Bruins traded for Cam Neely?
I actually don't.
They traded the great Barry Peterson for Cam Neely. I'd say that worked out. They got a first-round pick and Cam Neely, actually. And people forget, Barry Peterson was pretty nice. He had 39. Barry
Peterson was very, very good.
Barry Peterson, when he was 20 years old, had 44 goals, 92 points. Second season, he was 21, 46 goals, 107 points. Then he followed up with 39 goals and 116 points. So all things considered, the Bruins gave up quite a bit if you were to look at those numbers. But as soon as he went to Vancouver, I mean, 76 points, 71 points, 41 points, 31 points, and the Bruins got Cam Neely. So,
Yeah.
I think that trade paid off.
Hey, and both of them are now part of the Bruins organization, anyways.
That's right. Barry
Yeah.
Peterson, you get to hear his melodic voice on Nesson.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed that spinning wheel segment. We got to come up with a name for it too, so we don't just keep saying spinning wheel segment.
Yeah.
And I'll go through it next time too, and I'll take out some numbers that don't exist within the Bruins organization, and I'll take out number 8 so that Cam Neely doesn't pop up again. But
make sure you leave Seth Griffith though. I would like to revisit him.
that segment right there. You know what? We're gonna have retired numbers in the Something's Bruin podcast. Seth Griffith's number has now retired, along with Craig Smith being rafters,
and of course Jack Edwards' suit jacket.
Yes.
Hang them all up there in the rafters.
Yeah.
And I think, should we also add Benoit Pouliot and Kasper Zdogevins?
We will do that once our streams hit 30 viewers.
Ooh.
At once. Like all 30 viewers all at once.
What's our highest? I think like 9.
No, our highest is 12.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, we're getting there.
Hey, now that we're talking about it, we stream EASHL on NHL 23 on Twitch. You can follow our Twitch account at Something's Bruin Podcast. We try to play every Thursday night. We'll play for a couple hours, depending on how many people are in there and hanging out with us and watching us and talking hockey with us, or just getting hype with us.
I will say this too: we're not half bad. We have a sub 500 record, but I think we're like maybe 4-6. But of those 6 losses, I think only one of them was a rage quit because we were like literally playing the developers of the game. It was the dumbest thing ever, and all the other losses were like by 1 goal. A couple of them were heartbreakers, but
yes,
we try to do that I don't know if you mentioned it. We try to do that every Thursday with our buddy Connor. We will probably be doing it this Thursday. We usually try to aim for around 8:30. But if we do, tune in. We'll tweet the link. It's always a good time. We like talking to you guys and taking questions and hopefully picking up some wins. So we'll see if that train can continue this Thursday.
Also, we may or may not have a goalie, correct? Potentially.
We may or may not have a goalie. We do have somebody who is most definitely interested. We would just have to go through the logistics of adding them to our roster because you and I are like sometimes the most elementary tasks take us hours.
Yeah.
Because we are morons. I don't know if you picked this up from listening to our big spinny wheel segment, but we don't always know what we're doing.
Setting up the wheel with guys who don't exist. guys like Seth Griffith popping up who played like 80 career NHL games.
We got so excited Cam Neely popped up and didn't even know what to say.
Yeah. But yeah, hey, as always, you guys can follow our Twitter at Bruin Something. Follow our YouTube at Something's Bruin. You can follow myself on Twitter at _Mike Sullivan. You can follow Nick on Twitter at Nick Melanson _. And as always, we are brought to you in partnership with the Black and Gold Productions LLC. You can follow the company as a whole at BNG Productions. Hell yeah, dude! What an episode! I think this little we'll workshop a name for it, but the spinny wheel segment is definitely going to help during the off season. It'll keep things interesting for sure.
The spinning wheel of death. We can come up with something more creative. We might have to take to the people on Twitter. They have better ideas than we do.
Yep, no, for sure. But yeah, so this was episode 43 of the Something's Bruin podcast. We got Vegas and Florida in the Stanley Cup final. It's going to be one hell of a series. So we'll, obviously continue to talk about that as that series rolls on. But as of right now, thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you all next week.
Bye.